This is your review video for section 6.1. That would mean the first half of chapter 6. I'm going to walk you through all 5 of the learning targets, tell you about some of the most important words or some of the most missed or forgotten words for each one of those, and you'll follow along on your paper. There's a spot in each learning target for you to take notes, and then there's also a couple questions based on those notes to give you an opportunity to try some work with the information. A lot of these questions are either taken directly from the quiz or very closely modeled to what you will see on the quiz, so this is a really great review. The first learning target is that you will be able to use and understand breakfast food and table vocabulary. So it's not just the words for breakfast food items, but then also the words for cup and glass and spoon and fork and all of that. You had a long list of notes that you guys took, so I'd ask look back at that list or rewatch that video. What I've got here on the screen now, though, is some of the most missed words from that particular learning target in that section of vocab. Those would be on the left-hand side for food items, la confiture, which is jam or jelly, la tartine, which is when French people make toast. We're not talking French toast. We're talking when they take the baguette, that long French bread, they cut it in half lengthwise and go ahead and put butter and jelly on it just like anybody else would with their slice of Wonder Bread toast. But it's their version of toast. And remember that a tartine itself is a piece of French bread. So whenever you talk about having une tartine, a tartine, you're talking about having a piece of French bread. Des œufs are eggs. Then we got a couple of words on the right-hand side that are more from the table settings kind of stuff. Une assiette is a plate. Un verre is a glass. Now, the difference between un verre and une tasse, un verre is a glass, and then une tasse is a cup. What they consider to be a cup has a handle on it, if you were kind of wondering about the difference. I don't truly care whether you talk about drinking things from un verre or une tasse. Doesn't matter to me. But un verre is a glass. And une nappe is always one that confuses people because it's tablecloth. It is not napkin. The other 3 words that are there in that box are the words for boire, which is to drink, soif, which is thirsty, and faim, which is hungry. You'll say things like j'ai soif, I'm thirsty, so je veux un jus d'orange, I want an orange juice. Or j'ai faim, I'm hungry, so je veux des œufs, I want some eggs. At this point in time, I'd ask you to pause the video and go ahead and try numbers 1 and 2, and then go ahead and hit play again, and we'll go over the right answers. So now you've hopefully had a chance to pause. Let's go ahead and talk about the right answers here. First of all, these are open-ended kinds of things, but they're questions that you'll want to be able to answer off the top of your head if possible. Number 1, pour le petit déjeuner je prends means for breakfast I'm having or I have. I use des céréales et des œufs. As long as you listed a couple of breakfast food items, you're pretty much covered. Number 2, on met le couvert avec means we set the table with. So I listed some items that you normally put on the table when you're setting the table, like une fourchette, which is a fork, une cuillère, which is a spoon, et une serviette, which is a napkin. Again, though, as long as you are listing table vocabulary, setting vocabulary, you're in good shape on that. Learning target 2 is I will be able to use and understand partitive articles. So up here at the top, I've got your indefinite articles, an and une, which with both mean the word a, which means when you use those with a food item, you're talking about eating one of those items or an entire one of those items. Du, de, la, de, el apostrophe, and de all mean some, but they're used based on whether you're talking about some of a masculine item, some of a feminine item, some of an item that starts with a vowel. These are used whenever you're only having a part of an item, or they're also used when there's things that are a little bit hard to narrow down as far as like whenever you have some coffee or whenever you have some juice, that kind of sense. So at this point in time, go ahead and pause the video and take a moment and see if you can fill in the correct articles below. Hopefully by now you've had a chance to pause the video. What you need to notice on number 3 is that you're talking about lait. First thing you need to think about is that lait is milk. So when you talk about milk, you don't often talk about having a milk, you talk about having some milk. So immediately my attention is drawn up to the D words here because all of those mean some. Your next step is to decide whether milk is masculine or feminine. Clearly it's not plural, it doesn't have an S at the end. If you take a look at your notes, you'll notice that milk is masculine, so the correct answer for that one would be du lait, for I would like some milk. For the next one, you got to look at baguette. Baguette is that long French bread, that super long loaf that's kind of thin and skinny. First thing you need to think about is whether you talk about a French bread or some French bread, and usually you just want some of the baguette. Beyond that, then, you have to know whether baguette is masculine, feminine, plural, all that good stuff, so you can choose the correct D word for the word some. In this case, baguette is indeed feminine, so you can talk about having de la baguette. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, what if I'm really hungry? What if I do want a whole loaf of bread? You could technically use une baguette if you wanted to. It's just a little strange because generally you only have part of one. It's feminine though, so if you do use une, make sure you use une and not un. For your third learning target, you will be able to offer, accept, and refuse food. Over here on the left-hand side, I just kind of typed them out real quick. Some different ways of offering food to somebody is to ask them, tu veux something, which is do you want? Like, tu veux du bacon, do you want some bacon? Vous voulez is the same. It still means do you want. It's just the more formal form. Or if you're asking a group, do you all want some bacon? Vous voulez du bacon. Encore means more, like as in you're saying more eggs, more toast. I know it's kind of strange to talk like that in English, but it's the simplest way to ask in that it's only one word. So you could ask somebody something like encore des toasts. Do you want some more pieces of toast? And then finally, now you know I'm recording this at school. And finally, the last way that you can ask somebody is if you don't want to get specific, you could ask them, qu'est-ce que tu veux boire, or qu'est-ce que tu veux manger? What do you want to drink, or what do you want to eat? And then you're going to have to actually verbalize in your response what items you would like to drink or eat. If, say, I've offered you something that you want, oui, je veux bien. I know your book says yes, please. Je veux bien literally means I want it a lot, or I really want it. Be careful. S'il vous plaît is the word for please, and that's a great answer as well. Oui, s'il vous plaît, yes, please, just like in English. This technically means yes, I really want some. J'aimerais is actually I would like as well, which you have to put a food item after it. So you have to say something like j'aimerais le bacon, or j'aimerais un croissant, or whatever it might be. Ways of refusing include non merci, as in no thank you, non ça va, which is not on our list, and je n'ai plus soif, or je n'ai plus faim, which is I'm no longer hungry or thirsty. So again, I'd like you to pause the video. First of all, you'll have to figure out what the questions mean down below, and then make sure that you answer those questions in French. Don't translate them, answer them. Hopefully by now you've had a chance to pause the video and give these a try. Tu veux un café au lait means do you want? Un café au lait is a coffee with milk. Now, of course, if you're not a coffee fan, you could have used one of these ways of refusing as well. I myself happen to like coffee with milk, so I answered with oui, je veux bien. Yes, I really want some. Qu'est-ce que tu veux manger is what do you want to eat. This is an open-ended question. I have to be able to say what I want to eat. So, thought about it for a minute, and croissant sounds pretty good to me. So, j'aimerais un croissant says I would like a croissant. Our fourth learning target is being able to ask for and give opinions of food. So you can see right there on the left, we've got some ways of saying that things are good and that you like them, like il est délicieux or elle est délicieuse. It's delicious, whether that's a masculine it that's delicious or a feminine it that's delicious. And then pas mauvais. Pas mauvais just means not bad. It's not that you're over enthusiastic about it, it's just pas mauvais, not bad. Remember, we also talked about the word excellent, so don't forget that that is an available option as well. On the dislike side, you've got the words c'est pas bon, it's not good, pas bon du tout, not good at all. Again, notice that this is the feminine form of good, so I must be talking about something that is feminine that's not good at all. Il est vraiment mauvais or elle est vraiment mauvaise, both saying the same thing, it's really bad. It's just the masculine form of it's really bad and the feminine form of it's really bad. So at this point, please take a moment and try the activities below. Hopefully by now you've had a chance to try those activities. So let's go ahead and talk about them. Comment tu trouves les œufs literally means how do you find the eggs, as in what do you think of the eggs. I myself happen to like eggs okay, so I said pas mauvais. They're not bad. The second one says il est bon le croissant, which means it is good, the croissant, as in is the croissant good. Again, I am definitely a fan of croissants, so I went ahead and said il est délicieux, it is delicious. Croissant happens to be masculine, so I used il instead of elle. Alrighty, last learning target, IR verbs. Now we've been in this part the shortest amount of time, so you do want to make sure that you memorize these endings. I wanted to remind you that IR verbs work just like ER and RE verbs, and that first you drop the IR, and then you have to remember the endings to add based on the subject. In this case, I've got the endings right here for you. Keep in mind that you don't just write the endings. You have to drop the IR off of it and then add this to the rest of the verb, or what we call the stem of the verb. Just to remind you, the song that we talked about on the video that I sang horribly off key once, and I'm about to sing horribly off key again, is that IR verb song to the tune of the Mexican hat dance, which is es, ite, es-so-n-s, ess-z, es-so-ente, na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, and you get the point. Again, remember that the letter I in French is pronounced E, so when I'm saying es, ite, I'm actually saying is, it. Take a moment, pause the video, and try the 2 questions below. Hopefully by now you had a chance to try those 2 questions there. Choisir, of course, an IR verb. First thing you have to do to conjugate an IR verb is drop off the IR. So whether I'm looking at the subject or not, I know right away I'm going to be left with this. Then I look back at my subject. If I'm trying to do the je form of an IR verb, you can see right above here that the ending for the je form of an IR verb like choisir is an IS. So je choisis le chocolat chaud is the way you would say I choose the hot chocolate, or I'm choosing the hot chocolate. This next sentence is a fun one. Grossir, again, an IR verb. So the first thing you have to do is drop off the IR, which is going to leave you with this stem. If you are trying to do your news form, as we are in this sentence, double check up here at the top. Your ending is ISSONS, which leaves you with 5 S's in one word, ladies and gentlemen. Grossissant. Nous grossissons parce que nous mangeons beaucoup. We are getting fat or gaining weight because we are eating a lot. Pretty understandable situation. All right. At this point in time, I'm done with the review. Like I said before, I highly recommend that you look back at your notes and maybe re-watch some of the videos. Just hearing it again will make it stick into your brain. Also, practice pronouncing the words. Again, when you see it, you hear it, you say it yourself. It's really practicing it 3 or 4 times at once. All of those things will help you get ready for your upcoming quiz. Make sure you bring this paper with you to class so that we can talk about some of the right answers or any questions that you might have had. And as always, make sure you're jotting down any questions you have.